Over the 2 days following the violent February 6.3 magnitude quake struck at the heart of Christchurch City, 75 people have been confirmed dead, with at least 300 believed to be missing.
Have a nice day.
The situation is bleak. For tens of thousands, backyard artesian wells and tankers are the only link to fresh water. 50% of the city is still without power. Underground sewerage lines have been ruptured. Thousands of litres of hand sanitiser trucked in to stop the spread of disease. Amongst this surreal world, there's still a glimmer of hope, the knowledge that there's only one way forward, and that's getting stuck in together. In the eastern suburbs, there's very little of anything. Food is in scarce supply, with a number of supermarkets destroyed in the quake. But it seems that where there's a will, there's a way.
We loaded the truck this morning about 9:30 to about 12 o'clock, and then we've just been doing the whole street here ever since. So we've been out since 1 o'clock. They'll probably go till about 7. So I was a musician, and then now that all our pubs are falling down, nothing to do, so I jump in here and do this with them.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, fellas. See you, buddy. You take care.
I'm from Federated Farmers, country people that come to town just to help out. Yeah.
Around the seaside suburbs of Sumner and Redcliffs, homes here have taken a hammering. Cliffs have collapsed, taking lives and destroying hundreds of buildings, with over 200 homes evacuated. Rock specialists are doing all they can to protect the homes below. Marnie Kent has moved out of her home on the hill and is camping at the nearby school.
I'd much rather be in the tent than in the house with all the rattling of the roof tiles. Just freaks me out.
And she's got every reason to be on edge. This home, not far from Marnie's, was destroyed by one of the thousands of boulders that litter the hill slopes.
You just hear a clang and you think, what's that? Is that a rock fall cracking? Or, you know, you might be in a building and a truck goes past and you feel some wobble and you get ready to run. Your senses are really high. And the adrenaline's, you only need a little earthquake and the adrenaline just kicks in. And you feel your heartbeat, you know, just boom, 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 boom.
The anxiety of the continual aftershocks is also seeing hundreds leaving the city every day. But there's also those that are determined to stay.
We've got a stable house. There's no need to leave it. It's a lot of work. But we've been there over 20 years, and the last thing I want to do would be to leave there. She does make some funny noises during the night when there's an earthquake.
Stoic Jim and Judith will return from this makeshift laundromat to a home with no water, power or sewerage, but fortunately, no soggy silt. It's here in the suburb of Bexley that the watery remnant of liquefaction has wreaked havoc on the homes and underground services for the second time. Beneath the surface in these parts, the violent shaking during each quake caused the water-saturated sands to liquefy. The severity of the shaking intensified the water pressure, causing it to erupt upwards, rupturing water and sewage pipes and splitting electrical cables in the process, leaving many residents with no option but to move on.
This is going to parents-in-law's where we're staying at the moment, just so we've got some clothes.
After moving out of their home in the September quake, Jeff and Lavina moved back in 4 months ago, only to be hit hard again in this latest quake. What will happen to their home and their future is unknown. In Aranui, Horace and Rhonda don't have power or water either. Their freezer food is slowly thawing, but they're making do.
And my neighbour came across the road and goes, "Oh, you want some power? Chuck this over a leaf."
He had a generator.
Yeah, it's quite funny. Good.
A couple of nights we had like a lamp in the TV, just made everything just seem a lot more easier. Yeah, a lot of Horace's family, we've gone up to Auckland. You keep thinking day by day goes past, like the first few days, and oh, You know, we'll get pair, everything will come right in another day or so, and it just kept extending and extending, and we just kept staying and staying. And
there's no need to move, it's still livable, so we can still cook and survive.
Yeah, I don't think the house is dangerous at all to live in.
Plus a few of the other neighbours are all gone, so someone's got to watch the houses. Keep an eye on things.
What one out of those?
Horace has had to travel 2 kilometres just to get water, so a guy delivering water off his own back is a welcome relief.
I've been going up to the Avondale golf course, filling up over there the last few other days.
And after days of living with no services, Horace and Rhonda's daughters are finding it tough, especially knowing their older sister has left for Auckland.
This one wants to go to Auckland, but his sister left pretty quick, and I don't think she had a chance to really go with her. She'd like us all to go, but we can't with the pets. And
this will be the first night we're sleeping like in our own room.
I don't want to go in there without power.
Yeah,
but I think our room's pretty safe.
And they share a room, so they'll be alright.
A few blocks away in the suburb of New Brighton, Matthew and Nicola Leach can't live in their home as the house to the left has collapsed and could fall further into theirs, and the 2-storey property on the other side is also at risk of collapse.
That house should come down, and that house should come down, and we can move back into our home, and I could be sleeping in my bed and feeling a little bit better to go back to work.
These two are waiting for a demolition order on either home. Until then, they'll sleep in their car in a neighbourhood that's fast becoming a ghost town.
John, he's gone. Here we are camping up the front because that's all we're allowed to do. This place has had it, they're gone. And the people next door, they've gone. I don't know where they've gone. And apparently, yeah, the last I heard, they may never come back to Christchurch. They're that paranoid. Yeah. You know, it's a whole block that's basically nobody there.
With almost no neighbours, the worry is the risk of looting if they abandon their home.
I just don't ever want to leave. I just don't ever want anything bad to happen. We're here to just protect what we've got.
Horace too is hanging around to keep him and his family safe. With no portaloos in his neighbourhood, they all use a long drop and the chemical toilet he picked up from a mate.
It's quite funny. Third day, I have to come home and empty it. Yeah, because by then it's full. Lovely. Nothing you can do, really, eh? Just keep on going. Someone has to do it, though. The girls don't do it. They just make the mess. Yeah, it is hard. But yeah, what can you do?
The images of PGC House are etched forever in the minds of Christchurch residents. None more so than crush victim Nick Walls, who was pinned beneath the rubble for almost 10 hours. Close to a month on, he's preparing for another hyperbaric chamber treatment for crushing syndrome, a result of prolonged pressure and damage on his muscle tissue.
While I'm down in the chamber, I use this bandage to pull my foot up, try and flex the muscles and the ankle as well, because it drops down quite a lot.
Nick has no feeling in his foot and is unable to walk. Originally used for deep-sea divers suffering from the bends, the pressurised chamber allows for additional oxygen through the body. That, in Nick's case, helps with the healing of his nerves.
Initially, about 5 or 6 minutes it takes to go down to equivalent of 14 metres. Once we're down at 14 metres, go onto these lovely oxygen masks, Top Gun style.
The chamber sessions provide a glimmer of hope that he may one day walk unaided.
Yep. Occasionally I get different sensations through the foot while I'm down at 14 metres, which is quite good because it means it's doing something.
It's going to be a long road to recovery for Nick, one he's still coming to grips with.
It's a pretty surreal event. It's almost like it's not my life. I'll never be the same again. My life has changed, but it hasn't changed to the extent that I can't do the things that I was doing before. I'll be able to go back to work. In fact, I've already checked emails from work through my laptop here at the hospital and cleared a few of those and sent a note off to work with all the things that I thought of that needed to be done.
In Sydenham, Bridget is still living in a garage behind Army lines. Together with business partner Karen, they're trying to rebuild their future.
And yesterday I sort of had this revelation of it was up to us to help make this a beautiful place again and make this the city that it can be. And we've got to do it again. We've got to do. The painted room has to rise again. And
it doesn't matter how many times we get kicked in the guts. That's not the point. The point is, you know, has it knocked us out? No, it hasn't.
And within a few weeks of the 6.3 quake, they managed to find new premises and start over for the third time.
Murray's got some old glass lying out there, and it's thick glass, so we don't have to pay all that money. You know, everything's done on the shoestring. The paint in here is all mist tints. We've got enough to paint the outside of the building too. So everything's, you know, nothing's retail. This morning, before I came down here, I started going through things that were my possessions to bring down to sell, because I don't have a home to put them in anymore, nowhere to decorate. So what the hell am I, you know, like I can't live with all this stuff. One thing about the earthquake, it's made us free of possessions. The possessions that matter to me that I worry about are family possessions, you know, things that were my grandmother's or my great-grandmother's.
As the aftershocks continue, thousands more leave the city. Some for good, others in limbo, uncertain what their future will now look like. The death toll rises, with countless funerals to mourn the loss of so many. A memorial service is a poignant moment to stop and reflect on the immense loss that the city has seen.
I honour the men and women who have, in our hour of need, stood beside us in a selfless way. And I honour all of you.
Here today, we love and we grieve. We honour the lives and memories of all those who did not survive the earthquake. With the Queen's heartfelt good wishes and those of the Prince of Wales and other members of my family, I say it to you now. Kia kaha, be strong.
South side of the CBD was once a hive of bustling bars and boutique retail. Amongst the carnage sits the old High Street post office, home to the iconic movie rental store Allison Videoland for over 25 years. 3 blocks back, and prohibited from getting any closer, business owner Paul Stewart can only catch a glimpse of the building that has stood the test of time and quakes.
One broken window in the entire building and a few cracks in the plaster is all the damage that building built in 1931 received, because it's just been overbuilt as a government post office. It's so much more respect for that building now, having come through 3 significant quakes. What a grand old lady it is.
But it's a frustrating time for Paul, who's desperate to get his business up and running.
Got to get in, that's the next hurdle we've got to overcome, but at least we've got somewhere to get in to move to. Because right now, even if we got in, all we could do is tidy up. Probably 23,000 DVDs for a start, probably a couple of thousand VHSs. Yeah, it's a significant library.
4 weeks ago, Jane Taylor's life was changed forever. Rescued from Cashel Street Mall in the February quake, she almost died several times while in intensive care. Racked with pain, Jane suffered horrendous damage to her spine, skull, ribs, feet, hands and legs. She's now recovering in Christchurch Hospital.
I work for a plus-size ladies' fashion company. They start at a size 14 and I'm scared I might be a size 10 when I come out of here and have no job.
While her jovial manner belies her constant discomfort, Husband Sean and son Jono have helped get her through some painful days.
I've really concentrated on making sure she gets better.
And I do get a bit grumpy sometimes.
No, yeah, but that's part from the course. Yeah. You know, lying like this for weeks and weeks on end and counting the spots up in the roof, you know, and then counting them the next day and getting a different answer probably, it's a bit tedious, but it's really all a matter of getting Jane better. I'm not really interested in anything else. Everything else has been secondary to that, really.
And of course, these boys have been my rock since coming back to Christchurch. Sean's in here every day, and Jono's in here every day, sometimes twice. He'll pop in the morning and then come back at night. I've only got boys. I wish I'd had a daughter, but I haven't. But they're pretty good boys.
Sadly, they've all found their greatest strength from an earlier family tragedy.
We lost our 18-year-old son in a car accident 3.5 years ago. So we've been through that once before, where there were difficulties, but we got to the other side. So I think we are better prepared for this. We couldn't have suffered more in the past, you know. So this doesn't seem as bad. Yeah. And we're like solid as a rock, you know. We are solid, absolutely. I mean, he's the love of my life.
Jane's expected to be bedridden for another 4 weeks, while just down the corridor, Nick Walls is heading home. Nick was pinned under rubble in the PGC building for 10 hours. After major surgery, hours of hyperbaric chamber therapy and physio to help mend his damaged muscles and nerves, he's keen to leave.
Happy days. I'm definitely walking out of here. Yeah, not going in a chair.
It'd be weird walking past this room and not having Nick there. Come part of the furniture.
I've left an imprint in the bed.
Don't want to take the stairs, Nick.
You haven't taught me stairs yet, Jenny.
I know.
Nick's mum and dad are also here to help their boy take another step on his road to recovery.
Good day. Best day ever, I think.
It's been a hell of a ride. 10 hours in the rubble, 2 operations, 5.5 weeks in hospital.
He's never complained once, so it's been a pleasure to work with.
It must make a big difference to your job when it's like that.
Yeah. It's very nice to work with. Up 5 weeks with you guys.
Pleased to be going home. Yeah.
In the seaside suburbs out east, locals have witnessed huge rock falls and cliffs collapsing onto homes with the tragic loss of life. Hundreds of properties here have been evacuated, some never to be lived in or the land built on again. Geotech specialists are still working 7 days a week. On the rocky hill slopes, thousands of boulders litter the landscape, and they're only another aftershock away from dislodging and destroying more homes.
And what we found is there's a very unstable column on one end of it that we couldn't just push off and hope to go down the gully. It's going to go towards the houses.
Andy and his crew are building a 3-metre high safety fence on the lower slopes that will attempt to catch anything that rolls down once they start blasting and dislodging more rocks above.
There's absolutely no guarantees. That's the thing, you push a rock off and you think it's going to go here and you know, it'll just start rolling funny and track sideways. Some rocks are huge, but they'll just go plop because of the shape. So if you get one that's a nice round rolling shape, then it'll pick up energy. The bigger it is, the further it'll go.
This 200-metre long row of shipping containers is the final line of protection between the falling rocks and residents still living on the other side. With boulders continuing to fall, it'll be a long time before some residents can move back to their homes. As winter arrives, Matthew and Nicola still can't sleep in the rear bedroom of their home due to this 2-storey house looking like collapsing. And so far they've had 8 insurance and engineering assessments, and the reports have been everything from demolish to repair bills that range from $70,000 to $370,000. Matthew's neighbour's latest property assessment is no comfort at all.
John came round and seen me and told me about, the final conclusion. Yes, fixable. To say that is one possibility and a viable possibility even, it just seems outrageous. No, it fills me with no confidence. In fact, really, at the end of the day, we're no further ahead than at this point in time. We're not really actually any further ahead.
50 kilometres west of the city, a search for seismic answers is underway. After living through months of aftershocks and liquefaction at his home, scientist Dr. Mark Quigley is joining with experts who are mapping out the geotechnical world beneath Christchurch's feet. The hope is that they'll gather information to help the rebuild of the region.
What we had down the road there is the vibra-sized truck, which is basically pounding the ground and sending compressional P waves. When they hit various layers, they reflect back up, and those waves are being recorded. Basically, this array allows us to see the structure of what lies in the subsurface.
Scientists have targeted this Greendale fault zone because there's been an array of significant aftershocks over the past few months. They want to find out if there's more large faults under the surface.
If we find faults with significant displacements on them in the subsurface, then it tells us that they've had large earthquakes in the past, and therefore they're equally likely to have large earthquakes in the future. There'd be no reason to think that they wouldn't.
Being a scientist living in Christchurch finds Mark in a difficult dilemma.
As a Christchurch resident, what do we want to find? Nothing. Some of the early data that's coming through suggests that there is some deformation in the subsurface there. What will be, will be. I mean, it's not like there's anything I can do about what's down there except try and understand it.
The seismic surveying process is taking place right across the region, including the badly hit eastern suburbs and the CBD, all in an attempt to provide answers for future building design and people's peace of mind. 8 months since their Kaiapoi home was destroyed in the September quake, the McNeil family are leaving the shaky city behind and heading to Australia for a break.
We're tired, we're all tired, we need to go where the ground's not moving. In fact, that's what I put on my email, your out of office reply. I've gone away to get away from the shaky ground.
Not so much worried about them anymore, but just kind of over them, just sick of feeling them, sick of people talking about them, sick of being around them. Just, if you could go back to a year ago, it'd be good, but you can't do that and you got to live with it, so.
Every road you go down is just like that, and there's cracks, every room, like at school was cracks in the rooms. Everywhere you go there's a big crack. And every day there's a shake, every night you get woken up by one.
For Nikki, the trip's a chance to hopefully leave behind her growing earthquake anxiety after falling up to her neck in a liquefaction hole last September.
The major thing for me that day was the ground opened up, I fell in it, and then the fear that my son was underneath that ground as well, and that really pushed me over the edge.
I guess the whole time we're away, we're going to be constantly, that's the board now, constantly watching the news to see what's going on, and constantly looking at Facebook and constantly looking at GeoNet.
At Burwood Hospital, Jane Taylor has been transferred to the spinal unit, where she's now undergoing aquatic physiotherapy sessions.
I'd like to just take off swimming, but I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to get my head under because I've still got a wound on the back of my head.
Her mum has been visiting every day, excited to see her daughter's progress.
Oh, she's doing very well. Sean was told 3 times that she wasn't going to make it. Her courage, to me, I will always admire her for that.
After 3 months in hospital, Jane is finally back home and relieved to be back on her feet, albeit with crutches.
The fact that I'm out of the moon boot is great too, really good. The only trouble with crutches is your hands.
She told me the other day she was sick of it. But that's because as a mother, I want to be with her all the time to make sure she's safe.
And I'm not really sick of you, Mum, I'm just more sick of myself.
Yes, she told me that.
What they're all really sick of is the relentless aftershocks.
I'm well and truly over it. Jane says all the time to me, don't panic. And I don't really panic, but I do have a panic attack. I get so frightened, they're so frightening.
Accountant Nick Walls is finally managing to get a bit of his old life back. He's now driving and able to get himself to his daily physio sessions.
Yep, these legs aren't as strong as what they used to be.
All right, ready for another set?
Yep.
With severe nerve damage, even a simple resistance leg stretch is hard work.
You know, beforehand you wouldn't think anything about lifting your leg up. You know, and just do it, but yeah, it's a bit hard at the moment.
Nick's attempt to walk unaided is the most difficult part of his therapy.
And when you're ready, try and step through. Beautiful. Okay, now I'm going to do the other leg. This is even harder.
This is harder.
It's going to be a long road to recovery, but one he's philosophical about.
The nerve has to regrow, and it's a slow process. It's a very long nerve, so will take quite a while.
I prepared myself for a year with no feeling in that foot, so if it's less, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, Nick's made a good recovery and he's ready for work.
This is getting stuck back in, starting with half days, and then we'll build that up to full days in a couple of weeks, probably. Yeah.
Reminders of that February afternoon quake are still close at hand.
This is the bag that they retrieved out of the building as well, which is kind of cool.
And as Nick's found, a bit of banter helps get you through.
Yeah, he's a good man to have around.
Brought the dress standard up a bit again, Chris.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You'll change your ways one day, though, mate. It's overkill in here, as you can see.
Well, yeah, in our industrial estate here.
At 1:01 p.m, a 5.9 magnitude quake struck, followed by a 6.4 at 2:20 p.m. These shakes cause more damage and loss of power to properties around the city. Silt-laden water resulting from liquefaction flowed through the badly hit eastern suburbs yet again. For the third time in 9 months, Cantabrians will wade through the mess. For some, they've had enough.
Now we have to put in new claims. And what does that mean? Does that mean more delays? Does that mean that Matthew and I will be putting a tent up out on the street there because we've got no house to live in, because nothing has been moved and nothing has been decided upon? I just don't have the same energy that I used to have. I've put on a lot of weight. It's been such a huge burden. It soaks up everything that I have, and to go to work, I don't really want to go to work. But Matthew and I, we are still very strong. We talk about it every day. We still work together. We if I get scratchy, Matthew just very much just takes it in a stride.
In the hills around the city, this quake has caused horrific damage, more than any other seismic event to date. Over the past 9 months, the devastating quakes have been impacted by the elastic tension generated by the Pacific and Australian tectonic plates grinding against each other. But where the Greendale fault saw the land strike and slip sideways, this latest June 13th event is a different fault rupture again. It caused the earth to thrust up vertically, with some parts of the Port Hills ending up almost half a metre higher than the day before. Jim and Judith have been hit hard.
Oh dear.
In the last quake, they were the only ones left in their street. They managed without power, water or sewerage.
It did look like that after the February earthquake, but now it's looking like it again. And I just bought that new a fortnight ago to replace the one we lost in the last earthquake.
Not only do Jim and Judith have to face the massive task of cleaning up, but the aftershocks are still coming thick and fast.
Oh,
Oh, I wish they'd stop.
They've endured thousands of aftershocks since September 4, and Judith is desperate to leave the city for a while, but Jim's reluctant.
Oh, it's been very tough.
Yes.
Especially seeing Jim doesn't want to leave the house, and I do. And he said I could go if I wanted to, but you just can't do that because he's not that well, and it's really tough.
It could be worse, I guess.
Not much.
No. There it is now, just a little earthquake just
Yes.
to let you know you're alive. Yes.
Jeff and Lavina have decided to make a final visit to what was once their happy home.
Glad we don't have to do the clean up again. Take it away with the house, really. Come in, big bulldozers, take the house, take the silt, take everything. It is yucky silt, isn't it? Yep. No, we're not staying here.
They're adamant they'll never return to the suburb again, but until there's a decision on their land, the future's uncertain. August 2011. Cantabrians wake to the worst polar blast to hit the region in 15 years. Despite the added hardships, Lavina wants to show her girls that a different life can still be fun.
A lot of people are talking about the new normal, and a lot of what was going on, I actually didn't want to be the new normal. I just wanted my old normal back. But yeah, I think we are. I mean, snow's not normal, but it's autumn. I think that we're coping quite well at the moment. We're feeling quite positive, and yeah, I think we're getting back on track. Coincidentally, there's been no shakes, is there? It is brilliant. Just what the people of Christchurch needed, I think. Nice family time.
Across the CBD, the sheer volume of unsafe buildings and the ongoing demolitions have shut hundreds of businesses out, with many having no idea when they can return. As for the iconic Press newspaper building, 120 years of service is about to disappear from the city's landscape.
That was the boss's office. It's heartbreaking to see just so many buildings that were home, ones that you took for granted. Now they're gone, and it's very hard to even imagine what was there. You know, it's just surreal. That's all you can say about it. We're very lucky. You know, we lost one person in the building. There could have been so many more. The third floor came down, landed on the second floor. It trapped a lot of people. We had a double amputee and a lot of broken bones. Just tragic. So.
Property investor Richard Peebles is having to say goodbye to yet another of his heritage buildings. This time it's the 110-year-old Brian boot factory, known as the Rags Building.
Just the waste, you know, the whole waste. And the worst thing is that there won't be, we won't have any of this around. You know, the amount of old character, you know, office space and that, it just won't be here. We lost 21 buildings. And we've lost, you know, most of our income. We've only had 1 year loss of income, so we have to go flat out and rebuild and get some tenants and So it's sort of survival mode, really.
Survival means getting as many buildings consented as possible to start in time with the insurance payouts.
Dundas Street, the new plans for the one we just visited, well, all the new buildings we're building to the Wellington seismic code. We just thought to attract the good tenants, if you built it to the highest seismic code in New Zealand, we're covered.
For commercial property investors in the city, it's an exciting time.
When do you get the opportunity to be involved with building a city? You know, pretty amazing times.
It's been 7 months since Jane Taylor was pulled from rubble in Cashel Street Mall, and today the retail store she works for has invited her back to catch up with staff and customers.
It's lovely to be back and amongst the clothes and the lovely customers and the girls, you know, that work here. Her and another friend that was in our group, Karen, they've visited me regularly. We even went out to the movies, didn't we, on Tuesday?
And ate big piles of popcorn.
Yeah, and
dropped it all over the floor.
They've really helped me feel more normal and more as if I'm the Jane that was.
Yes, yes, and let you do for yourself in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Hi, Jane. God bless. How are you? Lovely to see you.
You too. And the old long-term town customers are coming to visit.
Here's a gift from us, and just to welcome you back, and just hope everything is going well for you.
From that first photo in the press, and just followed it through, and just to see you here today is amazing.
For Jane, the return is another step towards some semblance of a normal life.
My life's not really 100% where I want it to be. I suppose I'm getting normal enough now that I want it to be there, but it's just waiting for my body to catch up with my mind, really. Yeah.
Waiting is about to be over for thousands of homeowners, with a government announcement that shows the region in 4 colour categories. The land in red zones has suffered significant damage and can't be rebuilt on. Land in the orange zones requires more assessment. In the green zone, the land has no significant issues, while the white is still uncategorised.
They've also left residents in a state of stress and uncertainty.
Months of living in limbo, and today's government announcement doesn't include a decision on Nikki's home.
It's been the most stressful in the last few weeks that it has in a long time.
Nikki's husband, John, isn't sure he can wait for a decision any longer.
The people will go out and snap up all the houses, all the good ones, and when we get a chance to go out there, there'll be nothing left. And we might have to just... I thought today, why don't we just pack up and go to Australia?
Compounding everything are the large number of aftershocks that have rattled the region in the last few days.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I hate it.
After the one like 2 nights ago, I was like in bed crying. I just wanted to go. It's horrible. You can't sleep at night.
Those ones the other night, my sister rang up crying from Hallswell, and this is 10:30 at night. She was crying and said that it detonated underneath their house, and it pretty much had. It was the street over from them, and then Nick's jumping into bed with Mackenzie because she couldn't sleep, and then we got to get up and go to work the next day. You know?
And there's a lot of people, when you listen to other people talking on the radio, that have said they never ever thought that they would leave Canterbury, but they've had enough.
Jeff and Lavina have just heard that their Bexley home is in the red zone. And if they take the government offer, they'll get $105,000 for their land. In a city where you can't get a section for less than $150,000. To move forward, they may have to go further in debt.
It's like, well, do we go to the bank and ask for more money, which I just feel so angry about doing? Or
just to carry on our lives.
Do we find somewhere with slightly cheaper land somewhere else in New Zealand, try and relocate either his job or maybe I start full-time, I don't know. It started out the stress of an earthquake, and then it's the stress of not knowing what's happening with your house, and then it's how much will you get for your house, and in the middle of it there's continuing aftershocks which are scaring the crap out of everybody. I don't even know what to do anymore.
But for Jeff and Lavina, it's finally time to say goodbye to the home of their dreams.
Well, Oz, I suppose.
Yeah.
What
should it be?
I think you sort of take yourself back to that day that we moved in and we were so excited and... Yeah.
Paul Stewart is finally back at work in his CBD building. He's been able to clean up the mess and get up and running as he's been given special access to his undamaged building.
We've got deadlines to meet. We've got all the online stuff to deal with, so it's sort of fairly frantic for a little while. It's not an ideal situation to be working under.
Although Paul has access to his stock and able to operate online, he's still not sure what Allison Videoland will look like in the future.
Day by day, you know, we've got a cordon around us. It's not the best time to be making plans. Here is a situation where you've got every great film, practically no exceptions, ever made in one place at one time. Now that would take a bit of doing, and it has taken a bit of doing. And to let that just drift to the breeze has just seemed to be sacrilege. Maybe we'll never see anything like this again, you know. So for that reason, I thought, well, let's just put some wind back in its sails and see how she goes from here.
While Paul's business and building is held up against the quakes, geotechnical engineers are now analysing the ground beneath the CBD to better understand and plan for the future rebuild.
The purpose of this drilling is to identify any layers beneath the city which are liquefiable, so that when we come to design the replacement buildings, we know exactly where the liquefiable layers are. We run tests to see what the material is and how strong it is, and we design the buildings to withstand the level of shaking we expect in the future and to suit the type of ground we have beneath Christchurch.
The sediment layers below Christchurch vary widely from fine sands, liquefiable matter and the strong, stable Riccarton gravels around 20 metres deep. The analysis reveals that the layers are not consistent from one street to the next, which means buildings and foundation design will vary accordingly.
From a geotechnical perspective, there's no technical reason why we can't rebuild Christchurch where it is. One of the very good things that's come out of this recent amount of drilling, we've got some very good three-dimensional and two-dimensional data. So we know what we need to do and how to do it, so that the new buildings are stronger, better, and perform a lot better than the older buildings that we've lost over the last year or so.
The waiting is nearly over for John and Nikki. After nearly a year, the government is set to announce if their Kaiapoi home is in the red zone.
Nikki's our only child, and to see her and John, what they're going through. John's such an in-control person, and he's got no control whatsoever, and to watch, he's lost so much weight, and the kids as well.
Of the 1,300 residential properties, 860 in Kaiapoi and 80 in Pines Beach have now been zone red. But I don't know if this
Red has been red zoned. Yeah, well, you knew that, darling.
It is good.
Because you can move on now, that's the thing.
I know this is what we wanted, but it doesn't make any easier.
No, I know, darling. It's a good thing, but a bad thing. It's something that had to be done. Is that Johnny?
Thank God for that.
Yeah.
Is that your No.
Don't cry, love.
I know.
Do you want to go back?
Don't, no.
Deep breath.
Yeah.
It's the best thing.
Yeah.
If we build a house, we were always going to have to try and sell that house.
Yeah.
On stuffed land, and the publicity of that land, and that, who the hell was ever bought it?
No, I know that.
You just stood up and said to Carol, I've just won the lotto.
In the central city, the once devastated Cashel Mall is making a poignant comeback.
So this is a great moment. It's a wonderful, creative, exciting beginning. It's different than what we had before, and it will change in the months and the years ahead. But there is no doubt that we do all have together an extraordinary future. And as it says on my T-shirt, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to make this a city for people. It'll be our place. Thank you for joining us here today. Best wishes to everybody. Thank you. 3, 2, 1, go!
8 months ago, 4 people lost their lives here. Today, it's the first sign of hope that a new city could be built on this shaky ground. While thousands savour the restart of their central city, there are some who aren't quite ready to venture too close just yet.
But we will get back.
Yeah, we'll go back in, but I don't feel any need to go back
To rush.
because I look at the city, I'm treading on people's graves.
We're lucky, weren't we? Very lucky.
In the heart of the city, the iconic cathedral is about to be stripped of its sacred value and deconsecrated. After 130 years as a holy building, it's now been returned to a secular state in preparation for deconstruction and a new future. There's a sense that together, this cathedral, like the city, will rise again. Jeff and Lavina have managed to buy a section, and they're now looking forward to living in a new home.
It's nice, not seeing any liquefaction around the place, that's for sure.
The first time we ever drove out here, without really knowing that we'd like it, and without knowing that we were ever going to move out here because we thought we were having to rebuild in Bexley.
Yeah.
We just said, wouldn't it be nice to live out here? And
Probably a dream one day when the kids are growing up we might have moved out here, but
yeah, so
things have been pushed our way.
Bridget from the Painted Room has finally moved out of her garage and into a new apartment, but the strain of the last year has left its mark.
I've been very, very sad. That bloody earthquake is almost like the defining moment of my life. And it may be that it defines it, that it becomes so much better. It's not better now.
Despite that, Bridget and Karen are still open for business.
We realised that I couldn't do this by myself and Bridget couldn't do it by herself, so it's, yeah, it's a fantastic combination. Against all odds, in fact, but it is.
I turned out to be not the tough one. Karen was strong. Of the two of us, I thought, much. It's not true.
We have made it and we've come out the other side, I think, but you wouldn't have wished this on anyone, anywhere. It's been really, really difficult.
On the other side of town, they're just trying to forget about earthquakes. Nick Walls is staging a rescue from the rubble party.
Christchurch needs its citizens more than ever now, and you know we're going to have to put up with a bit of shit for a few more months yet, probably, maybe even a year more. But we've got to rebuild a brand new city, so we've got to have people here to live in it.